Ollie was born on November 28th, 2011. When he was 3 days old, we were getting ready to leave the hospital, and his pediatrician came in for one last check, and that's when he heard a heart murmur. Several hours later, they tell me that our son has a heart defect and that he had a VSD.
Initial surgery was a success. At the end of the day, he recovered quickly, had no reason to think that we weren't just going to move on to living a pretty normal life.
Unfortunately, when he was 13 months old, he passed away from complications with his heart defect. After he died, we never set out with any goals to start a foundation. We just knew that it felt good to give back. At his funeral services, we had asked that guests bring a donation for heart research in lieu of flowers. In just 2 days, we raised more than $13,000, and we were floored by everyone's generosity. From there, it just kind of grew organically. It made us feel good. It helped us manage our grief a little bit. It kept our minds busy. Doing this work through what now has become the Ollie Hinkle Heart Foundation was one way to put that love back out into the world and pay it forward to other families whose struggles we knew firsthand. Part of it was just thinking of what did we need when we were in their shoes, when we were fighting with Ollie when he was still alive. We've just set out to create that.
Ollie was born on October 6, 2021 at Missouri Baptist Medical Center, and within minutes of delivery, everyone in the room knew something was wrong. They quickly took him away and transferred him to the cardiac intensive care unit at St. Louis Children's Hospital. Once he was there, he was diagnosed with a rare and critical heart defect, as well as Down syndrome.
I'll never forget, I walked into the entrance of Children's and there was doctors and nurses standing at the check-in counter waiting for me to get there. I knew it was a dire situation. Looking back on it, doesn't feel like it was real.
When Ollie was 12 hours old, he was placed on ECMO, which is the highest level of life support. At 36 hours old, he had his first open heart surgery.
He had an 8 to 10 hour operation. We talked to the surgeon before. He told us that it was maybe a 30–40% chance that he would make it through the surgery.
I spent 24 hours in a postpartum room alone while my baby was at a hospital down the road on life support. I remember it was 1 week after his surgery, and he had been laying on the table with his chest open, and I lost it. At that point, there was nothing any of us could do to make him better. It was only Ollie that could decide to pull through for himself.
Scary, shocking are the two words I always use. We didn't really fully understand the whole situation. All we knew was we were told he was the sickest kid in the Heart Center.
The Heart Center has a child life specialist who made an amazing book for our 3 children to prepare them for what they were going to see when they came to visit Ollie for the first time.
You want to touch his hair?
Yeah, good job.
It was hard for me to see him, and I couldn't imagine only being 5, 6, 7 years old seeing your little brother laying on the table like that. Ollie's brother Peyton, I'll never forget the smile on his face.
They handled it so great. They held his hands and they touched his hair. We just sat in the room as a family for the first time.
It kind of brought everything all together because we thought we were going to lose Ollie, and at least his brothers and sisters got to meet him and see how happy they were to see their little brother.
The biggest struggle that I find is that we get families who are coming in thinking, okay, this may be a couple of days admission, and then you look up, you're still in a hospital 2, 3, 4 months later.
What's unique about heart families? It's a lifelong disease. It is challenging. They have to come to medical appointments far more frequently. You don't get the quick fix like some other diseases. It doesn't take much to trigger some crises for some of our heart families. And before you know it, you think you got a little cough or something going on, and they end up in the hospital for weeks on end. And then your whole life is kind of turned upside down.
When I first started counseling our fetal heart families as a nurse practitioner, the ability to marry my neonatal knowledge with pediatric cardiology was a beautiful blend. Over time, that quickly turned into that's someone's child in that bed that we're taking care of. And there's a whole different level of empathy when you start to see that child as a child and not just a patient that we're helping to provide care for.
He spent his first 5 weeks of life in the Heart Center at St. Louis Children's Hospital.
He made it to where he was ready to go home in 5 weeks, which we never would have thought. That was also very scary because he was coming home on a feeding tube and oxygen, and how we were going to try to live a normal life. He was a fighter and was able to get through stuff pretty quickly to where he was, can be as normal as he can be.
Good job.
As a new mom who receives a diagnosis that their child has a congenital heart defect, I feel like it's a very isolating experience. Your world shatters into a million pieces. You've got a wave of every emotion possible.
That was very difficult, seeing your son, only a week old, laying there with his chest open. It was just a helpless feeling.
Pediatric heart disease, there are stressors involved in that. What's your first instinct as a parent? Protect your kid. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to have any type of raw emotion or feeling. How do we help them channel that in a productive manner? How do we make sure that they're doing it in a safe and healthy way?
One of the unique things about the Allie Hinkle Heart Foundation is that we're not just identifying the needs, we're actually meeting the needs. We're not just identifying the problems, we're bringing real solutions to the table.
Allie Hinkle Heart Foundation did an awesome thing and created Ollie's Branch. What it did was really shine a light on the whole mental health piece, whether it be to the child involved, the parents, the grandparents, whomever is tied to the family is impacted by it.
Joseph was born via C-section, so I was automatically in the hospital for 3 days. And on that third day, the doctor noticed something, so they were going to take him in for testing, and then brought him back and sat me down and was like, unfortunately, we heard a heart murmur.
At first, we thought it was just something that was going to go away with time, and it turned into something a little more serious.
Unfortunately, he was not getting better. His heart was getting too big, and it would just make more sense for him long term if we went ahead and did the open heart surgery. It was a lot for us to take in, and just knowing what was going to happen. And so by the time he was close to 4, I was like, okay, little white flag, I need help. They were the ones that would ask me, have you heard about Ollie's Branch? They sent us the link, we filled out the paperwork, they put us in touch with a couple of therapists in the area, and we picked one that was closest to us and met with her. That first meeting with her, when we walked out, we both it was just like a sigh of relief. And we both we were fighting back tears because it was just we finally felt like we saw the silver lining coming. It was such a dark time with him that we finally, it was hope.
Yeah, it's been helpful not just to him, but helpful to all the rest of our little ones as well.
I was kind of at my wit's end. It was probably the 6th or 7th time I had, hid in the closet and cried because I didn't want the kids to see me crying because I was just overwhelmed. If we would not have asked for help or found Ollie's Branch, we would not have been having these milestones that he's hitting on his own, and he is realizing that he's doing too. I think he takes pride in it too.
Made us better parents and helped our son out.
It took so much stress off of us because had I not asked for help, we would have never known.
That is why I connect families with Allie Hinkle Heart Foundation.
I think that in our experience and with so many families we've met now over the last 10 years, we've learned that pediatric heart disease is something that can happen to anyone. Our vision is to eliminate the traumas that heart families face and to wrap all heart families in love. There's so many different needs for these families, and we're dedicated to meeting those needs.
The Allie Hinkle Heart Foundation has helped me in this journey. I went to my first Heart Mom Ornament Exchange, and I met a group of moms who are in a very similar situation that I'm in. There were all these women who I didn't know I needed in my life that I now have to rely on. I'm not in this journey alone.
I met a couple dads I would have never met before, got to hear their story, and knowing that there's other people out there that you can always talk to makes things a lot easier on us. It's amazing the work that they do and all the fundraising and support that they give to the Heart Center. It really means a lot to us heart families.
Yeah, baby.
The hardest part of being a heart parent is knowing that you can't fix everything for your child. It's a very helpless feeling because you really can't do anything to make them better. And so you take each day as it comes and you appreciate each day you have with them.
When you bring a child into this world, you bring them into this world because you want them to realize their full potential. When we as clinicians give this diagnosis, it's a fine line between not taking those hopes and dreams away from those families, but also being realistic with them about what is in front of us and what we're going to do together to get through this. Most parents don't have to ask their child's doctor if they think they're going to make it to their first birthday. I ask his doctors that all the time. I'm just like, do you picture him in kindergarten? Or do you picture him in second grade? And it's not something you ever worry about with your other kids, but it's something I always worry about with Ollie. Happy birthday, dear Ollie. I just want Ollie to be able to grow up. I just want him to be able to get better. Ollie's now 17 months. He is the happiest, smiliest baby. Ollie! His siblings absolutely adore him.
Such a strong kid, and seeing him smile, that makes me, as a dad, very proud, and I'll never be as strong as him.
If you could look deep into your hearts and know that your donations are helping families just like mine and heart warriors like Ollie.